Beautiful. Yay. All right, it should be. Says we're live.
Says
So
live,
hello.
yes.
So hello everybody. Welcome back to this another edition of this interview series. I am really excited about today because how everything is lined up. I'm like the conversation that we have been prepped for could be unbelievable. So Carrie Anne here beside me has actually been a friend and a student, but she teaches me so much. I see you embodying yourself and your truth always. She's always just been straight. She utilizes her body for wisdom. She's deeply connected to Mother Earth. She works with women and fertility and mothers and mothering and the womb and all things like that. But she is also extremely versed and aware of everything else reality based. And I just see you as a walking oracle is what's coming to mind right now. And I absolutely was thrilled when your face came through in the vision of this series as one of the people that I needed to reach out to share whatever you're going to share. And again, everybody, I have no idea, no clue.
Neither do I.
What we're going to talk about, but I know that it is divinely led and I'm sure that it's going to be perfect. And I do know that we could really go anywhere. So, Carrie, why don't you just introduce yourself for this interview? Like, share whatever you want to share about yourself. And
Okay.
we'll start there. And I'm going to kind of share it around while we do.
All right. So, yes, I'm Carrie. And I feel like actually I've spent like my whole life just working, working as this light warrior, working as I kind of had like, I mean, like all of us and Lisha as well here, had that plan that I've just been following. And so I feel like that's kind of how I've come into life with that gift of transparency and the way that life has unfolded. And it's just been so divine. And the people that I've connected with and just this journey and where it's led me and really like stepping into sharing those gifts and really like before I used to kind of hide away. I think I was like, oh gosh, I should just hide away these things. But I'm way more in these last few years, like pushing it out there and being like, nah, it's all right. I feel free to just, that's what I'm pretty happy about. I'm happy to just be myself, which is great. And I'm really good at that. And so I think that in my work, I can make people really comfortable with being themselves, but also with making mistakes because I'm a master mistake maker. And I think I make people feel really comfortable with themselves. Like, I'm always wondering, I'm like, why are people attracted to hang out with me? I'm like, I don't understand it, but they keep coming and they, even if they leave, they just come back. So it was really the introduction I had envisioned giving about myself, but there it is.
I think that is so beautiful. And I love how you said master mistake maker. Like this is it. And this actually came through, a couple things came through for us to talk about, but the messiness of it all has been a trust through it all, right? The how it doesn't always look like our 3D vision of it says it's supposed to look like, but it doesn't mean that we're off track at all, Right. And there's different aspects of personality where, like master mistake maker, like I'm just really good at it. Like I could totally go there. And, if when we own those things about ourselves, it's like, yeah, it feels super good, right? There's
Well,
no
that was from one of our sessions.
Really?
Yeah. Well, you actually had helped me because I was like, gosh, I don't remember exactly the words I had used, but I'm like, I don't know, I guess I'm making people comfortable with humility. I just seem to be like a little comfortable with that humility and making mistakes. And you were like, because you're a master mistake maker. And I'm like, yes. And it stuck. And I don't know, that was like, what, 2 years ago or something. So it just really stuck there. It's like, yeah, I
But
really
now there's like a lightheartedness and a fun about it. And I know like,
but I look good doing it.
yes, but I look good doing it. So yeah. So
is it cutting out?
No, I can hear you. Like your picture's frozen, but I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
And probably there's like one place that you were standing or sitting that was good. Oh, now you're back. Perfect. We'll just ask Archangel Michael to like watch over. He's really good with technology. All right. So what would you like to talk about? I mean, we've had so many deep conversations here. I've thought about, this messiness and doing it your own way. You're so beautiful at that. I've thought about, she could talk about listening through your body and your intuition. I thought, oh, she could talk about time and real time, like real time, right? The time that I keep saying I want to know about and I keep knowing about, but I never know, like real time.
Yeah.
We could go there. And then, we could go, into like what's up for everybody and the whole coronavirus and all of that place too, like, and walking through that. So I'm like really open to follow this. So what is like light on your heart? Like what feels fun and juicy and real and what do you want to talk about?
Let me really hang on, because there's so much. Like I was actually thinking last night and I'm like, oh gosh, there's so much I could really talk about, and it could really jump around. And I just said like, okay, just let it flow. But what's really coming through is like, I feel like creating a spiritual language, and really, instead of always looking outside of self, which I feel like a lot of people do, is it's always like, oh, I read this book, or I did this, or I heard this person, and it's all these other people's experience. And I'm like, that's great. I love to have a good book and I love to hear people's experience. But what about like your own experience? And I feel like that's where fear can come in, is that people are always trying to experience someone else's experience and not experience their own. And I've really based my life, I'm very faith-based, where I'm like, I'll just figure it out. Like it'll happen. So I'll set the intention. It doesn't always play out the way that I expected, I'll be like, well, that was totally off of what, but it worked out.
Yeah.
I think it's super important though, to really like be able to put your hand on your heart, your hand on your stomach, and really smile innocently into that divine child. And create your own personal spiritual language that is based on your own experience versus another person's experience. I really have a hard time within my own self, and it's kind of been a battle because I feel rude that I get so many downloads that I can't really take a lot of outside information. And I get kind of like, whoa. But also that's like a gift of my own, is that I'm so much in the present moment of experience that it's just the way that it is, because I've developed that my own personal spiritual language. And I think here soon, I know you and I have talked about teaching classes and stuff, that's something I really need to put a focal point on, is helping people develop their personal spiritual language. And then
Beautiful.
from
So I
there,
think that's what you're doing right
working
now.
that into their kids. Yeah. Yeah.
Why don't you start teaching it? This is why you're here. Thank you for telling us what we're going to be learning today. Excellent. So how would you, and yes, like, however, I am assuming, I want to invite everybody, as you learn whatever's authentically and very organically going to be coming through Carrie around learning your own soul language, light language, internal language, faith language. You can also, as she's teaching you, teach your kids. It's really about, Carrie's definitely about moving it on to the next generation.
Definitely. Well, and also, like, they have that wisdom, so it's kind of learning from them, but allowing a spiritual language to be developed, allowing your child to develop their own spiritual language would be like kind of a class in its own. But to really develop your own spiritual language, I think I would really use a lot of the Mayan dream spell work to just get that, like, this is your conscious self, this is your challenge, this is your hidden helper, this is, and breaking it down like that, so that someone can really see, like, wow, that is my challenge, and that's a gift of its own.
Mm-hmm.
And to see their conscious self and to really be like, wow, no, that resonates. Like, it helps you to see, like, your essence self, and then from inside that, so getting that detail from inside of that, being able to put yourself back into, teach yourself back into, and it's something that shame and judgment, because honestly, I would not be who I am today if I listened to all of the people that judged me in my life.
So you're moving
I
in and out.
grew up, I feel like,
brain.
was really judgmental, transparent as I've been, so that I can really.
Yeah. All right. So I was trying to say she's moving in and out of range. We might have to start this over again. Hopefully she'll be back. Okay, so I need you to, like, stay in one spot.
No.
I can't hear you. I think you were best when you were, like, kind of
I'm in
the house.
Can you hear me? Instead, all right, hold up. Oh, I know this. Let me see if I move. I'm actually going to move over to where I'm not necessarily in this hole. Hold on. I'm actually moving a straw too. If it works better over here.
Okay, let's do it. This is live, you guys. This is live. Live and real. She's a mama. She has 2 little kids, if you haven't heard them around her. She's a baby in the stroller. She's you know, this is the messy part. This is like the real life part. Like, you can be filled with all of this light and all of this knowledge, and it's about grounding and rooting in this present moment, you know, and that means living. All right, so let's see if that sounds better.
Okay, is this better now? I'm hoping.
Right now,
can you hear me?
Yeah, right now I can hear you. You sound clear.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's try to stay in one place.
Oh, wait, what was that last part?
I said try to stay in one place.
Okay, I'm just saying here. So yeah, releasing all of those dense. She's like, I want popcorn. It's like, not right now. Wait, we haven't reached the popcorn part. 1 second. It's in the cupboard. Go. Okay, I'm just gonna let him choose that. You can do it. Anyways, so he wants the popcorn. so centering back into that, releasing all those denser emotions, removing like the fear, the shame, the judgment that's projected from outside of self, and realizing also like some of the judgments that we put on ourselves, how we judge ourselves, and we're like, oh gosh, I talk too much, or I do these different things. It's like, just give thanks to that, you know? Like there's so many things about myself where I'm like, ooh, but then I'm just like, well, thank you, you know? And it helps me to not feel like constricted and like constrained in that, because a lot of times when we judge ourselves, we just start to eat ourselves up, and we start to take ourselves away. What's that?
Literally, like our body starts attacking itself.
Seriously, yeah. And so so it bring us back into like just accepting these things about ourselves and receiving them as gifts. So for example, with me, what I have to realize is I have a hard time balancing a seriousness and the playful access. And I also have a hard time with, stop for a second, just go do it. I have a hard time with, I'm so sorry, but he like wants this popcorn. Hold on, I'm just gonna zip. This would be one of those things where I'd be judging myself like, oh gosh, I'm screwing it up, but whatever. And yeah, is it bad parenting? I'm not sure, but he's having a bag of kettle corn. I have these little things that about myself that can be really annoying because they are like, I'm so dedicated to my light work that a lot of times I separate myself. But instead of looking at that as like, oh, I'm alone and I've separated myself and creating like this story, I just am like, no, that's fine. And I feel comfortable, I feel safe, and I feel awesome because I'm like so in spirit and I'm so in touch that I'm able to channel from my higher self. So as soon as I release that fear of like, oh, I wonder what people think about me, it starts to, that's the first step in creating your spiritual language. Are you still with me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Just making sure I'm not frozen.
Yeah.
So that's the first step. And then, so acceptance.
So the first step, to be clear with everybody, because there's a lot happened right there, is be okay with it being messy. Be okay with it not looking just perfect to the outside world. Be okay showing up as you are, and notice where you're judging yourself, and just stop.
Yeah. And seriously though, and even like with family members, like I grew up with family members who are like, you're so weird, Carrie, and like, oh, like, you know, I used to like do all these things, and it's just like, whatever. Like, you know, I never really, like, in a way I took it to heart, but
Yeah.
also I was kind of like, it gave me so much strength, and I was able to just develop this deep individuality because it kind of gave, I was like, well, whatever, I'm a cheeky monkey, you know? And so I thank my family for kind of bullying me for being a little different. But also
around calling you Lish.
What's that?
Oh, all I heard was bullying you for kind of being kind of different.
Yeah.
I think so many people can relate to that too. I mean, bullying and being called weird and being called crazy. This has kind of come up the last couple interviews too, as is being, you know, looking crazy, feeling crazy, having it be messy, right?
Yeah.
And looking different than the rest of the world, right? And how do we embody a new paradigm, right? And anchor all of this if we're doing the same old program, if we're looking the same, if we're being the same. Yeah. So just knowing what that is and how that looks like. This is so funny. I've never had so many things like go funky. Like you just disappeared. Your bandwidth is low. You're coming back. All right. So hopefully she'll be back. I think this is like literally the precipice of this show is like things don't look right. When you're changing the environment, it's not going to look the same as the environment. When you're learning how to trust your internal kingdom of heaven within, you're not going to be looking at the kingdom built out in front of you. And so how do we do this? How do we do it? And Carrie's explaining it to you. And I absolutely love this. I know that she'll pop back on. Because it looks messy. Right? To the outside world, they're going to judge it and they're going to be like, oh, you're weird, you're off, you're different, you're talking this weird stuff, you don't make sense. And you're not supposed to. And you're really, really not supposed to. So hopefully she will pop back on here momentarily. I'm just going to keep it rolling. We will see how it goes. Because I don't want to teach for her. I absolutely love this. So she also has a low bandwidth at her home. I forgot that this was an issue when we worked together too. Like there was always internet stuff happening. She lives here in Alaska. She has a wonderful store on Main Street in Wasilla with like treatment rooms, and she's an incredible Reiki artist. She knows everything about rocks and gems and so forth. She does amazing yoni steams and clearings, especially for women and mothers. Just to share more about her. Obviously, she is younger. She's a young mother, and her kids are just absolutely divine. So let's see. Telling her, jump on again if you can. Tell me if you don't. Oh. All right. We shall see. I wonder if she can jump on.
Is that?
Are you back?
Yeah, internet just was like boom, shut down, but it's back. Holy cow! Which is probably a good thing. Anyways, so we'll try here.
Perfect.
All right. So yeah, we were talking about like judgment and the families and these things. But I want to say that like, yeah, that sounds negative, but there's a gift in there. There's literally a gift in there because like that to me, I feel like that was the beginning of developing my spiritual language, really.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, I started that kind of quite early, which I'm thankful for that.
Yeah.
And then really working through that though, so I don't even really remember once that shut down and I was like, I completely forgot where I was at. But
no, that was exactly where you were. So just diving into like, once you have that place where you're agreeing to have that acceptance, right?
Oh yeah.
Non-judgment, and you're able to look at the judgment that did come in as a gift rather than something to fight or battle or feel sorry for yourself about. Then what?
Yeah, or estranged yourself from family as well. Like there for a minute, I think I estranged myself from the family. Like I was just like, oh, whatever, I'll go off on my own. And I don't actually, this is where I really developed a strong spiritual language, is I did that, but then I went off on my own and I basically was like, whatever, I barely have any money in my pocket, but I'm just gonna, I just kind of was more like a walking in faith, walking almost like, missionaries, like kind of work, doing my faith-based work, which got that to develop even further.
Right.
Was that I wasn't worried about planning anything. I wasn't worried, like, of course there were times that were really hard and I didn't have money and stuff, but it always worked out. And so I think in developing your spiritual languages, it's like some things you're going to have to go without, to go within.
Ah, I love that. That's a tweetable. Sometimes there's things you're going to have to go without in order to go within. And I think we're having one of those times right now, right? Where we're going without a lot of human connection, for one. Yeah.
Yeah. And just things that like we really enjoy, like, for example, like, just those luxuries, you take yourself out of a lot of these luxuries and that safe feeling of like, oh, that's fine. Like there's always this cushion or whatever it is. And I think when developing a spiritual languages, it's all about getting raw and real with yourself. You can't hide from yourself. You can't lie to yourself. You can't do it. And if you have to set up a situation where you are isolating, I feel like that's a beautiful thing. And that's a beautiful way to really honor yourself, because you're stripping yourself away from outside sources. And I'm not saying do that all the time, but when we do that, we're able to go and develop our own spiritual language. And so I think it's really beautiful. And especially now is that people are like, oh, I'm missing my friends and I'm missing these. And for me, I'm like, I'm loving this. I love this. Like I woke up, I thought it was an earthquake, and it was two cherubs on my bed jumping the other night. I thought I woke up to, oh, I think an earthquake's happening. I open my eyes and there's two green light being cherubs jumping on my bed and running on my bed. And I'm like, thank you, you little cuties. Like, and then, so after a while, you're kind of like, well, this isolation's doing me really well, because I'm able to, one, create my own spiritual language, which then allows all of these higher dimensional realms to come and portal into where you are.
Mm-hmm. So for somebody that's like, they're kind of in this isolation, right? We're in this isolation and we're wanting that opening. We don't quite have the cherubs opening up the door. We don't really know our own light language, but we have walked through, they have walked through that place of crazy, right? Being made to feel crazy, being made to question themselves, being made wrong, being criticized, being all this stuff, right? And they made it through that. And they possibly even want to drop the story, right? They're at that, let's just say, maybe that's the next step, but they're at that place. They're seeing the gift in it. Like how do they begin that internal journey into knowing themselves, into knowing their light language?
I would say, okay, so that is what, at this step, this is where you would go and you would really speak to your higher self, and ask, and very much ask, like, I want to be shown. I want this to be revealed. Using words that are like, words are so powerful. Like we need to use them to like, I know when sometimes I'm setting the intentions of something and I leave out one detail or I over describe, I'm like, shit, now look at what I've done. Like, it's like using and setting the intention where you're not calling too much in. We can't call too much in, because then all of a sudden you're like, what is this damn mess I've just created? So I would say something like,
like allow me to see, allow me to feel, allow me to be a part of my higher self's journey, allow me to be a complete and total service for my highest good. Like saying something like that, I think is really powerful. Writing that is really powerful. Looking at yourself in the mirror and really like setting that intention of like, no, I'm ready for this. I waited for this. I was shy about it. And now I'm unabashful. I'm ready to rumble, you know? And I think that that is what's, actually, that should be your first step. That should be your first step. And then you go in and you're like, okay, I accept all these little things about myself that possibly are ugly or just outright no longer of service. Yeah, you're like, anything that is no longer,
or the world might see as not living up to whatever, and or as wrong or controversial or out of the box, right? And kind of outing yourself. I mean, even this series itself is me outing myself to another level, right? Because I kind of keep myself safe in these little like pods, and I'll share all of my wisdom as long as it's safe.
Yeah.
Now in this interview series, I'm like sharing all this stuff. I'm like, and did I just say that? I mean, it's almost like worse than sharing my abuse stories, right? I'm like, oh my God, I just told them what I know. Oh, now I'm going to be expected to know that. Or like they're going to think I'm crazy or whatever. I mean, even that's coming up for me, which I've been here so many times. It should be like normal. But that honesty with ourselves is so powerful. Yeah. And that commitment to, okay, I'm open. So first, step one, you're saying to open yourself up to know your higher self, to know, to give service, to know, really have that commitment. Step two now is to really embrace all of the parts of yourself, the good and the bad, the shadow, the light, the quirky, the judged, all of that stuff, and just point blank accept it. And I always say, like, you guys, we can't accept, like, until you accept it, you can't change it anyway. So you might as well just accept it. Now what? Then what?
So, okay, then we hit up acceptance. And then it's where things will start. Once we find that acceptance, that's when stuff gets like real, like you're like, whoa, okay. You start to feel like able to breathe, right? Because you're not like feeling this pressure in your lungs of, you're able to breathe in that life, and you're able to breathe in the joyfulness of life. So from there, you would want to hold on, because I'm just like, all of a sudden I just got this vision, and I was like, whoa, okay. I'm getting these crazy visions of like these little kids, and it's hard for me to keep it. I'm like, whoa. Anyway,
well, I think kids represent, I think kids represent a lot right now in the world, right? But you touched on two things that are very childlike that most people lose. And that is brings you joy and playfulness.
Yeah.
Right? And I think joy and playfulness, we get so scared about for some reason, especially as adults. And that's what we need to manifest, to create, is to find our passion, our pleasure, our joy, our creativeness, our desires, or like that. Whatever.
Well, and it's like gut.
And like, it's a gut thing. It's like, how do you open that up? So I think that's the next step, is like helping your clients like open that up, right?
Yeah.
Like, what is that for you? So exploring joy and happiness and pleasure and fun and your youthful.
Well, and it's also that trust, because like for me, when I just had that happen, my stomach kind of went all weird. And then I was like, closed my eyes, and I was just seeing like that young, youthful child. And it's like, you know, like when you're that young, youthful child, you really believe a lot more, and you believe like your visions a lot more, and you're a lot closer to spirit. So it's all about like really, like I was saying, placing your hand on your heart, placing your hand on your stomach, and knowing that you're operating from a heart knowing that you're trusting your intuition. And that's that would be the third step to creating this language, is that yes, we can absorb everybody else's experience, but to absorb our own experience is to trust our deep heart, our deep gut knowing, and to allow that gut and heart to kind of, they need to be connected so that they can speak to each other. Because oftentimes my gut will tell me something, right? But if my heart is like, oh gosh, I don't want that to be true, sometimes I'm played a fool because I didn't want something to be true, or I ended up not listening to that gut instinct. And this is more, I'm way better at it now. Sometimes I won't listen. I'm like, I don't even want to hear that. Nope. And then I'm like, should have listened.
Right? No, I hear you. Yes.
I know, I'm
We've
like,
had that
damn.
conversation a few times.
Yeah. So that would be the next thing, is like to trust yourself. Trust yourself. Place your hand on your heart when all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm confused. It's like pausing in that moment and placing hand on your heart, hand on your navel, your stomach area, and just saying like I believe, I trust myself. I trust my higher self to serve me well in this moment, and to give me the language, and to give me that courage to trust myself. So often we don't want to trust ourselves because as a kid, I think we're told like, oh, hush, or no, you're being silly, or whatever. And so we lose that sense of trusting ourselves because it's been ingrained in us. And so that's where I feel like I do work a lot with people who their inner child is like, they need to trust me. Like, they need to basically have total forgiveness of that younger self, and bring it back so that they could be of service, and so that they can receive that language, because it's a childlike language, because it's honest and it's pure and it's truthful, and that wisdom is the child. And so that's what I'm trying to say.
That is beautiful.
I don't know if that came across clear, because now I'm getting all goofy and like having a crack up. My child, like,
right. No, it did come off clear. And I think that's why this inner child work is so important. It's like the basis of my work too. And and I love that, like, to bring out the playfulness, to bring out this, but to trust. And right on the other side of all this galactic stuff in this interview series, we talked about mind and heart, right? And so now you're talking about heart and gut. And the guts are the second brain as well, you guys. Like, literally, like, they look like a little brain, right? You like look at your guts. They're just, you have a brain here, you have a brain here, and then you have this heart in between. You have the hips here, and you have your hips here, and anyway.
Oh yeah.
We can go to anatomy is like totally like we're just repeats, right? And so understanding this gut awareness, and gut is the trust, I think, more than anything. The story is up here, the reasoning, the logic, right? Marrying the logic in the heart, marrying the trust in the heart is also super important. So for somebody who doesn't know about gut work or womb work, we just have a few more minutes. Like, what step can they go to begin this inner dialogue with their gut or with their womb space? Because I know that is your genius as well, to tap into this inner child awareness and this inner child pleasure and fun and innocence and trust and honesty.
I would say, once again, honestly, just speaking to it, talking to it. You're like, I think what makes it easy for me is just being like, even if it's weird or not, I'm like, tell me. I'm like, I almost am a demandant. I'm like, I need to know. I need a sign. I need a symbol. I need it now. Whether that's a bathroom break symbol, I don't care. I need to know. So it's almost like becoming a demandant of like, I need this information and I need it like now, to serve my higher self, to serve me in this time. I think also just being able to pause and to breathe it in and to feel like comfortable doing it, not worrying about like, oh, is this weird? Or, you know, it's about being comfortable in ourselves and even like holding ourselves. Like oftentimes I just hug myself and I just feel in and I'm like, I got you. Like I'm hugging you and you're all good. And so I'm developing a bond with different layers of myself. I develop this bond. So I'm talking to my organs. I'm talking to I'm talking to all these different layers. And I think that that's really important. Whether somebody thinks it's weird or not, it helps you to develop and trust the whole process of creating that spiritual language, because there's so many layers of self, which you know, and when you can speak to each of them, that's going to allow that light language to expand and to grow. And honestly, after like a lifetime of doing this, I'm still shocking myself. Like I'm still like, whoa, that just happened. Like it's always developing. It's never like, oh, I did this and now it's done. It's just like how we talk about, as soon as you think you've healed it all, like one other thing shows up and you're like, damn.
I just did that. But there's a different perspective. We've been talking a lot about that too, as far as this trust goes. I mean, trust has been a theme in all of it. And it was definitely my lesson last year, or really the last 2 or 3 years, probably my whole lifetime. But that said, I went deeper. I've trusted more this year than in an open, loving, curious, okay, whatever, like holding my boundaries while being open and not trying to control things way than I ever did before in this walk on the planet. And so and it's been a theme since day one in this interview series, is this trust. And the womb space and the gut space of trust, I think is so alive for all of us. And then the other piece that you touched on is this like joyful playfulness that is so challenging for so many of us adults, right? And yet it is what moves mountains. It is what allows us the freedom to create new. It is what allows us the freedom to trust ourselves and tap into that. And so I just love what you're saying.
And also it's like I'm saying all this.
Pause is hard, and we're on a pause for the whole world. You know, the world is on pause. And the pause is hard and challenging for some people. So learning how to pause with a curiosity and with a love and with like, oh, whether you're pausing here or pausing here or pausing here, or like, you know, it's just like, what are you talking to me?
And releasing, like I often will say, like, release all that no longer serves my higher self, past, present, and future timelines. But also like, I could speak and I could teach things, but I think it's important that like no one has to believe what I'm saying. Think for yourself. And once we think for ourselves, that's a major component in creating your spiritual language as well. Is how I create my spiritual language is going to be a little different, especially when I'm working with certain people. I'm always telling them this is self-remembrance exploration. This is a self-remembrance. This wisdom, what's happening, your healing is inside of you. All I'm doing is helping you. All I'm doing is guiding you through it because it's you. And I work with some really high vibe ladies. Like, I'm like, tell me your experience after we do a session. And I'm like, yeah, I love it. I'm like, yes. And for me, that's like, I just love hearing people's experiences through that self-exploration and self-remembrance, and them creating and developing the language that's constantly evolving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think you touched on that in the beginning too, with it can be messy, right? It can be messy, and it's about doing it your way and not like leaning into that, how somebody's going to judge you or what's happening, or outside influence.
Saya's now trying to come up here. There we go.
So beautiful. So beautiful. All right. So during our break, excuse me,
Yeah.
our intermission break, I kind of shared that you have a store, that you do Reiki, that you work with people, that you do yoni steams, that you do a lot of womb teaching, light language teaching now, and all this
Vibrance playing.
vibrance playing. Like
Yeah.
you're so beautiful in the energy department, and really connecting it into the physical realm. That's something when when and as we work together, your higher intelligence, like I just love that. It made working with you and shifting things with you just super easy. Way enjoyable.
Yeah, they,
for me. I was like, yeah, she gets it. Yes, let's keep going.
yeah.
So with that, like, what information do you want the audience to know to get a hold of you? Do you do work like telephone work and stuff like this? You probably have better internet at the office.
Yeah, service is better there. Yeah, honestly, I love when people just drop by, and it's so funny because I'll always be shocked if someone stops by. I'm like, are you sure? Are you here for this? Like, I'll think like it's a mistake that they're there or something. But drop-bys at 300 North Main Street are always welcome, and I love that. Calling me, messaging me, I love doing that. I love doing oracle readings. That's where I scan your body remotely, I guess, and then I'll do that. I love doing those little oracle readings. So yeah, I do things over the phone. I can do them over like they don't even need to be involved really. Like I just do it. But in person and one-on-one is more my thing. I'm not really like a group. I don't really do a lot of like group teachings and stuff. I usually just do one-on-one. It's more intimate for me.
Yeah.
And I'm able to work better that way. I just think I do better that way. I'm too cheeky monkey when there's a big group. I'm like the class clown. I'm like, okay, sorry about this. So one-on-one is the best way to catch me.
Perfect. So you guys, you can reach her. Carrie Anne here. And what is the name of your Facebook page and stuff? I'm forgetting right now.
Crystalline Vibrance, co-creative healing.
Okay. So we'll like Crystalline Vibrance, co-creative healing. Carrie Anne, you see her face. She's linked here. If you're on my page, you can link through to her as well. I know that this interview was like all like over the place, but it wasn't all over the place as far as the teaching and the words, right? Like that was very streamlined and very clear. And I love how what happened with the internet and everything was just exactly what we're talking about, right?
Well, it's so funny. It's like that master mistake in me. I'm like, oh shoot, hold up, we're bouncing everywhere. Oh, the internet's down. Yeah.
So I'm just like, it's all divine. And I think this non-judgment is so important for people to get. And believe me, I'm like the queen of, I don't know if I'm the queen of self-judgment, but I'm the queen of attracting people that love to judge me and make me wrong.
And you're a blue knight. You're the blue knight. And yeah, which is all about going into the abyss, and it makes it easier for judgment and to judge yourself and for people to judge you, unfortunately. But you can dive into the matrix very easily, and that is a gift of yours. And so it can make it easy for people to judge you, unfortunately.
Unfortunately. But once you get okay with it or better with it, it doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. My heart doesn't hurt, but like, it's like at the same time, it's like, this is just the pattern, right? Oh, here we go. Yep. I was their savior and now they hate me. Yay. That means
sometimes it happens. Like, I know. Well, when you draw
truly effective. Yeah. So if this is you too, like hopefully you see like in this messiness, you can be very effective. You can listen to your intuition. You can have fun with you. You can take those judgments, look at yourself and absolutely love them and develop your internal dialogue and your internal light language, as Carrie called it. And if you want to know more about that, definitely reach out and talk to her about how to walk through that. And we'll be back
Yeah,
tomorrow.
because I just want to add one more thing, because
Yeah,
I said about doing group teachings and how it's like more difficult, because everybody is like, I can help someone develop their spirit language, but it's like it's to that person, you know, and
Yeah.
every person's gonna have it unique. So I would really need to like sit down with that person or chat on the phone and see where they're at and like give that, you know what I mean? Like I feel like every session I do, everyone is different. Like it's never like following a script or anything. It's just kind of like, all right, this is how it's going. And so yeah, I'm so electric with movement and change that it's gonna be geared towards the individual.
Right. And
Which
that's
I think
like
makes it
their
special.
personal light language, right? It's their personal way of communicating and understanding and relating to your person, period. So, so beautifully said, beautifully said. So everybody, tomorrow we're going to have Honeybee and Michael on
I love
the
that.
show. Yeah. And they're over in DC area. Maryland, I believe, actually. And I, again, don't know where that conversation is going to go, but I know that they have traveled all over the world doing some amazing work. They're dear, dear friends of mine. Honey was on my Anchoring the Earth show in 2012. And I'm really excited to just see where that goes. I think we continue to get more and more integrated in marrying our higher selves to our physical selves and to this earth through the series and in all layers of ourself, and really learning how to integrate that, you know, from the heart to the gut in this particular series. So our interview. So I know that that is just going to continue, and I would love to know if you like this, if you're feeling this. I don't know if we're going to go on past the 10th. I have people reaching out to me to come and do shows now, and I'm really listening to that. So I'm listening to God, I'm listening to my intuition and my gut and everything, but I'm also going to listen to you guys listening. If you would like this series to continue, it's really up to you to tell me. Yeah, yes, I'm benefiting from it. I want it to continue. So let me know. We'll see you tomorrow at 1:11 here live on Your Own University's YouTube channel. I love you guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye.